Hey guys, this is Don't Be Flat here, and today I'm bringing you a video on how to save time. This is workflow and production tips for Mixcraft 8. So if you're using another DAW, go look up something for that. This is specific only to Mixcraft 8. So first of all, when you first download Mixcraft, you're going to have a little dialog box which looks something like this. And one thing you can do, which will save you a lot of time, is creating your own default template. So normally when you open it up, you'll get this dialog box, and you'll also have 2 MIDI tracks and 2 audio tracks. If you want to save your own file so that whenever you open it up, it will immediately load to that, you can come over here to File, come down to Save As, and then under this Mixcraft project, come down here to Mixcraft Template, and click that, name it whatever you want, hit save, and then make sure to route to that. You come down here to set new project defaults, and then you can browse to where that's located on your hard drive. And you can also unclick this if you don't want it to show for new projects, because sometimes that can get in the way. Another thing you can do, which will save you a ton of time, is instead of coming over here, clicking this, clicking edit, and then getting to your plugin, then you got to close that, and now you have this just fine. You can right click, and this will save you so much time. It will just jump immediately to your plugin interface. So I actually think I learned that by accident once. I accidentally right clicked, and that just saves a ton of time. If you're trying to edit stuff on the fly, just right click it and it will jump immediately to the interface. Another thing which is very useful is this thing called auto quantize. So if you click this down arrow, go to automatic quantize, you can set it to 16th and 8th notes and quarter notes, or you can turn it off. So this saves you from having to come down here, say play something in very poorly, and then instead it saves you from having to hit quantize and then going through all of this. So auto quantize is something which I have set up by default on all of my tracks. So now, say I'm over here and I want to open up a piano preset just like this, and I want auto quantize on. I could do it the long way by going to track, add virtual instrument, clicking it, going over to my plugins, mini grand edit. See how much time that took up and how many clicks it took? Instead, I can right click this and go down to duplicate, and it will bring up exactly the same plugin, exactly the same presets, effects, and whatnot, and MIDI data if you have any here. This also works with the audio tracks and whatnot, so that will save you a lot of time as well. Definitely use that. So now we're going to move on to your basic shortcuts. Instead of scrolling around here, you can set this up. Actually, if you go to settings, come over here, I believe, let's see, mouse wheel, you can change your zoom, horizontal scroll, and your vertical scroll by checking those. So shift for me is scroll in and out, zoom in and out, and side to side I have set to shift. That saves you time as well. Your basic MIDI interface controls, you got Control X for deleting, Control Z for undo. That's a lifesaver. So say I accidentally select everything and delete it. Oh no, I just lost all of my work. Well, never fear. Undo is here. So that will undo everything that you didn't want to do. You've also got your copy. So I want to copy this. I can hit Control C and Control V. That will copy it. Pretty standard. One thing which I will mention is, say I'm over here and I want to delete this and put this MIDI data right here. If I hit Control C and then I delete this by Control X and then hit Control V, what's that? It was the exact same MIDI thing which was here. So when you actually hit Control V, it will copy the last MIDI clip which you had selected. So one thing to do to get around that is instead hit Alt, and you'll be able to generate a copy. This also works with your plugins. So say I want this compressor on a piano for whatever reason, I can just hit Alt and drag that, and now I've got the exact same settings on my piano. That is very useful for plugins. If you have the exact settings, you don't want to have to do that for 8 different things. You can just copy and paste that. Let's see. We've also got split. This is very useful, something I use all the time. So say I have these MIDI clips here and I want to split it right here. I can hit Control T, and as you see, I make 2 separate MIDI tracks. If I want to merge tracks together, that is make them into one, I can hit Control W and it will merge them. So now I have my hi-hats, my snare, and my kick all on one track. Once again, if I want to undo that, Control Z will undo. Deleting tracks, instead of coming over here and hitting delete, you can hit Control Shift D, and that will get rid of your tracks quickly and easily. Another thing I should mention, let me go grab a sample. So I've got a sample loaded in. This is at a different time BPM than my dot set. So let me solo this. So if I'm here and I want, say right here, this right exactly there, if I zoom way in, I'm not able to get it exactly where I want it. If I hit this little squiggly line, I have no idea what the actual technical term is. If I hit that, then I'll be able to move in and out of the grid because grid is actually off, and then I can cut that and move it around wherever I want, not in time with the grid. If I want to enable the grid again, just hit G and it will, you'll see, snap back to grid. Squiggly line, snap off, G to grid. You can also snap to 1 bar by hitting 1, half notes, quarter notes, etc. with the numerical keys they correspond to. MIDI editing, this is another great feature. So say I'm over here and I want to select all of these notes. I can come over here and actually click the selection tool, or I can actually hit Q and that will give me the selection tool. I can hit W for the draw tool and draw notes and whatnot, or I can hit E for the eraser, and then I can click and erase the notes which I want. That is very useful for quickly switching between your MIDI editors. Play, as hopefully you know, space, and you've got record. You can hit R or Shift R, and then that will give you the count in and whatnot. You can change whether you want the metronome on playback by hitting M, or if you don't want it enabled while recording, you can hit Shift M and that will disable it, and you skipping that dialog box. If you want to enable loop, you can hit L. That will enable the loop, as you can see here. L again will disable. Home will bring you back, or sorry, end will bring you back to, well, the end, and home will bring you back to the start. I know that's not on all keyboards, so that may not apply to you. So that basically wraps it up. In the short run, learning these things will kind of slow you down. It's a lot to remember, I know, but in the long run, it will help you to really save a bunch of time and be able to get all of the music out which you want. So a couple seconds saved here and there really adds up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please give it a thumbs up if it helped you, and as always, don't be flat.